we're going to talk about rating each position group right here. And since we're musicians, our ratings go up to 11, not 10. They go up to 11. And from 1 to 11, we're going to go through these, and we're going to hit the starters up. We're going to give a grade for each one of the starters, and then we're also going to give a grade for the entire depth with some honorable mentions. And we want you to stay along with us out there. And what did you want to start with, Mike?
Well, I got to start where it all starts in the NFL, at the quarterback position, of course.
All right, then. There we go. The quarterback rating the roster improvement.
This one goes to 11.
Jared Thomas, Michael W. Smith, Goff. Let's get a rating from you, Mike.
Well, Jared Goff is, on a scale to 11. There are a couple of things, obviously, that he's not known as a good cold weather quarterback. He's also not really mobile. Doesn't have escapability. Sometimes he lacks pocket awareness. That loses a couple of points. He did finish in the top 5 in every meaningful passing category last year, and he also has intangibles where he gains a point. So in actuality, I mean, out of 11, he's probably an 8. But when you look at his leadership and what he means to this team, that gives him an extra point. I'm going to grade Jared Goff a solid 9.
I like that. And, you and I are really aligned. I believe that we're going to be aligned on a lot of these offensive players. And when I look at Jared Goff, I mean, you're right. It's not the sexiest thing in the world. When he's outside of the pocket and he's starting to run, he looks like a baby giraffe running out of the backfield. And you never want to see that. And that's why I'm glad that we're going to grade our offensive line high, too. But as far as that leadership, as far as his short to intermediate accuracy, it's on an elite level with the best that's out there. Maybe he struggles a little bit on the deep ball, but for what the Lions ask him to do, if I wanted to be a homer, I'd give him an 11 out of 11 because I love what he's done with what he has. But I'm with you. I'm going to give him about a 9 out of 11. I'm glad that we go up to 11 because if I gave him a 9 out of 10, I'd feel a little homerish. But a 9 out of 11, I'm feeling like that's pretty good for Jared Goff.
Patrick Mahomes is an 11. Yeah, I grade pretty tough. So Patrick Mahomes
my quarterback.
Right, and that's just it right there. And so what do you guys think out there for Jared Goff? We're running the scale. It goes all the way to 11, okay? Don't worry about the 10. You can rate somebody a 10 and realize that, 11, I think it's a good rating system because 11 is somebody that's better than the best that you need to be. The one that adds a little bit extra, even on top of all of his greatness. That's reserved for the best that's out there. But what about depth? I mean, we don't want to grade Hendon Hooker or Nate Sudfeld, but just as a room, just as an overall room, you might keep 2 quarterbacks, you might keep 3 quarterbacks. Where do you rate the value of a Hendon Hooker and a Nate Sudfeld?
Well, Hendon Hooker's a rookie who's never taken a snap in the NFL. I know he's not a rookie, but he's never taken an NFL snap. So on a scale to 11, I've got to immediately cut that in half, and I have to jump off at 5.5. Nate Sudfeld might bring that grade down, not up. But because of Hendon Hooker's upside and what he showed in college and the potential there in his youth, and from all reports out of camp that the guy's got a rocket for an arm, and what we see in his tape at the University of Tennessee, I'm going to gain him a point there. So I'm going to have to give the depth a total 6.5. I'm not letting Nate Sudfeld bring Hendon Hooker down as I probably should. I'm going to give the depth of the quarterback room 6.5.
All right.
You like that?
So as far as the depth goes, I'm a little bit different than you when it comes with that. I actually believe that Nate Sudfeld offers a lot. Maybe it's not out onto the field, but when they get into the tape sessions and when they get those second and third string guys that are trying to figure things out, I think that Nate Sudfeld is very, very valuable in practice. I don't think they should suit him up. I don't think they should have him as a third quarterback. He should just be the practice squad quarterback. Now, as far as Hendon Hooker goes, they probably could have convinced Teddy Bridgewater to come back, and last year they were feeling pretty good about that, but they decided not to go that route. They decided to part ways. Teddy Bridgewater decides that he's just going to train Hendon Hooker a little bit into the offseason and invited him over to his house showing him the offense, showing him how to be a pro. So I believe Hendon Hooker's ready to go into the backup slot and continue to learn behind Jared Goff. So I'm going to give it one more point than you did, a full point. I would have had it at a 6.5, and I'll give the development an extra full point. I'm going to put the depth at a 7.5. So what do you think out there? The depth. Are you feeling good about Hendon Hooker and Nate Sudfeld as the depth of the Lions quarterback room? Let us know in the comments. So we're going through room by room by room. Main Event Football Show right here. I'm Russell Wayne. This is Main Event Mike. We went through the quarterbacks. Now let's move into the running back room. Rating the roster improvement. I think this is one where we're going to have to let's look at where this thing started last year, Mike, and kind of give me something of where you thought it was at the beginning of last year to where it is right now. Give me 2 ratings on this one.
I will. Jahmyr Gibbs was the unknown last year. We may have given him a 7 or an 8 based on potential. We now know he is closer to a 10, right? So he's going to jump right out and get a 10. But guess what? He's not even the number 1 running back. He's rated. David Montgomery is the number 1 back. And mark my words, on the first play of the first game of the season, he'll get the carry up the gut. That'll be the play. David Montgomery's the workhorse back. Jahmyr Gibbs is the thunder and the lightning to his thunder. So I think David Montgomery's completely underrated. He's the best back in the league when it comes to breaking tackles. He's a tough runner. He's reliable. He always makes a positive gain. He always falls forward, and that is an intangible that you can't put a grade on that. I think David Montgomery also closer to a 10. I'm going to grade both of these guys together as the starting room and the running backs a 10.
So I agree with you on the part of Jahmyr Gibbs. Took him about 7 games to get going, but he was at 7 to 8 for the first 7 games. And then he's in the upper echelon of the running backs in the NFL. And then there's David Montgomery. I think that these guys were a 1A, 1B type thing where Jahmyr Gibbs was the B. And I think that that's not going to change much other than you might just go to 1A, 1B, and it's going to be flipped. It's going to be flipped around. It's going to look a lot like Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara did in New Orleans, in my opinion. So both of those guys being 10s, I agree with you 100%. You can't ask for anything more out of your running backs than to break tackles and average more than 4 yards a carry and get 10 plus touchdowns. What are you going to ask for out of your running back? I'm going to go way off to the side right here, and I'm going to grade the entire room as an 11. Because if you have 2 10 backs, your entire room is an 11. I think it's an elite room. I think it's the best running back duo in the league, and I don't even think there's a close second, in my opinion, right there. And those are the top 2. So what do you think out there? I got them at the whole room as an 11 with both of the running backs as a 10. Mike's got a 10 and a 10 and a 10 right there. Does anybody have anything different for our running back room? I want to know in the comments as we move on to the depth at that position. Mike, what do you think of the depth at the running back position?
Well, behind Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, of course, is Craig Reynolds right now as the 3rd back. Behind that, you have the rookie Sion Vaki, who can also play safety. He's going to be a special teams demon. It's going to be a tough job to supplant Craig Reynolds after the year he had last year. Some key runs, some key blocks. He's loved by the coaching staff and the players. Craig Reynolds is entrenched as the 3rd string running back. And as a 3rd string running back, I'm going to give him a solid 8 as a 3rd string running back. I mean, you could argue that there's better trios in the league of running backs. I know the Chicago fans would definitely, with Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert, and now DeAndre Swift. That's a pretty potent trio of backs. But I like our 2 ahead better than any of those guys. So if I'm grading Craig Reynolds against those guys, obviously he's not going to measure up. But Craig Reynolds, a solid 8, solid 7, somewhere in there as a 3rd back. Now let's talk about Sion Vaki for a minute. I think this kid's going to work his way. They're going to keep him on the 53-man roster, I predict. He's not going to the practice squad. When you talk about versatility, that adds a point to the room for me. So coming in as a rookie, you have to jump off at half. That's 5.5. I'm going to give him a point for being a versatile player that can play multiple positions, and I'm going to give him a point for also being a special teams demon. So that brings him up to a 7.5. So on the depth, I've got Craig Reynolds as an 8, number 3 back, and I've got Sione Vaki as a 7.5, number 4 back. And I don't think you can do much better than that anywhere in the NFL when it comes to running back depth.
I love that. And you brought up a really, really good point there as we're talking about the depth right there. We had a good third guy. We love, come on, Craig. We love Craig Reynolds, dude. I mean, that dude will go out. If you remember, you want to see a highlight, ask Carlton Davis what Craig Reynolds is all about right there. And this is the guy that does the dirty work. He does play special teams. And, you know, I believe that Sione Vaki is also going to make the team, and there's not a doubt in my mind he's going to make the team because of that versatility. So you got a 3-4 running back right there. I don't know which one's going to be 3. I don't know which one's going to be 4, but I'm sure that both of them are going to be on the team. And I like your pick at Craig Reynolds at being an 8. I might even give him an 8.5 just because he blocks so well and he does what he needs to do and returns kicks. So this is when you think depth, what is depth? Well, here's a guy that can come in if one of those other 2 guys are out. Offense won't miss a beat. I think that's what Craig Reynolds is. He runs the offense. He knows the offense. Sione Vaki, he's completely versatile. They drafted him in the 4th round to be that guy. I think he's going to be a special teams demon. I think that he's going to be on 4th and 3. He might be the guy in the punting formation instead of CJ Moore or Jalen Reeves-Maybin running out of the backfield, and you better watch him. So I love the overall depth. I'm going to give the overall depth of the room at an 8.5 right now because you can depend. I think that you're going to be able to depend on either one of those guys. Call me a homer.
We're going to bite the kneecap off.
Most NFL teams are going to carry 3 running backs on the 53-man roster. I think the Lions will carry 4 just because of Sione Vaki's versatility on special teams. And if there's a rash of injuries to safety, he's also a really good safety. So, I definitely think that's going to be a feather in the cap, an extra weapon for Ben Johnson. Like you said, maybe on kickoffs, they're going to scheme something to get this kid involved because he's got rare talents. He's a multi-tool player. Beyond him, all we have is Jermar Jefferson, probably going to sit on the practice squad this year, but he's a Brad Holmes draft pick. A lot of upside there, probably. The book is not closed on Jermar Jefferson yet. Don't write him off. So definitely that's even an added depth piece that the Lions have.
I believe that they will keep 4 running backs. We love keeping running back. Last year we kept 4 running backs and Jason Kabinda. So what do you think of the running back depth out there for the Detroit Lions? Throw that into the comments. Do you think it's good depth? Give me a yay for yes or a nay for no. And we are moving on. Our entire offense is very loaded. And now we're going to get into a fun room right here, the tight end room. So why don't you go ahead and give me your ratings for the
real simple for me. Frontline starter, Sam Laporta, one of the best tight ends in the league, only going into his 2nd year. He's going to be a stud here for the next 10 years. He's already a 10. Sam Laporta, already a 10 on an 11 scale. A little bit more maturity, another year under his belt. He's a hop and a skip from an 11. Backing him up, Brock Wright, a solid 8. One of the best blocking tight ends in the league, and he's sneaky good coming across the middle and catching big passes. His hands are sure. And when you got a guy like Sam Laporta, there's not going to be a lot of touches for him to show what he can do in the receiving game. But let's put it this way. The San Francisco 49ers are prepared to give him $4 million a year to pry him away from us. So that tells you something right there. So definitely a solid 8 for Brock Wright. And then James Mitchell, the 5th-round draft pick out of Virginia Tech by Brad Holmes, still developing. Had a couple of drops last year that really cost us. But he's developing. He's getting better. I think he makes this team. I'm going to give him a solid 7. And when you're talking about a 3rd-string tight end, a 7 is a really good grade from Main Event Mike. I'll tell you that. And then behind that, you've even got Shane Zylstra. One of these guys isn't going to make the team. I think it's Zylstra.
Sam Laporta, you can't ask for a better tight end the first year. And everybody wanted to compare him to Travis Kelce. I don't think he's like Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is a bona fide second receiver and doesn't really offer much from the blocking perspective. He's a receiver only type of guy. I think Sam Laporta is more like a fast Jason Witten who does a little bit of everything. And you're right. He came in and was a 10 right off the bat. I think going into this year, he's elite. He's an elite player I have to give him an 11, and that's no homer, guys. Dispute me in the comments if you want to, but Sam Laporta is an elite tight end. He performed as a number 3 tight end in the league his first year. I only expect that to get better. And then Brock Wright. I mean, the guy has done nothing but make the team as an undrafted free agent, work his ass off all the way up into this 3-year, $12 million contract right there. Kudos to Brock Wright for working hard, moving up there. I got to give him an 8 out of 10, and an 11 out of an 11 for Sam Laporta. And then your depth, I'll put James Mitchell and Shane Zylstra into that bag, whatever one makes it. They've been here the whole time. They understand the offense. So at the depth, I got to give it a 7. So tight end room, one of the best in the league, top 3 tight end rooms in the league, undisputable.
And we saw last year, they even had Malcolm Rodriguez play in some tight end. And we know Malcolm Rodriguez is going to be on this team. He's a special teams whiz and a backup linebacker. He might get some snaps at tight end too. I think that also mitigates the need for Shane Zylstra or any of these other guys to be able to make this team. I don't think the Lions carry more than 3 tight ends. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
Okay. And I wouldn't be hurt by that, by the way. If you want to keep 3 tight ends and, put Zylstra on the practice squad, go ahead and do that.
Don't forget Penei Sewell, one reception for 7 yards at tight end for a first down in his career.
Forget about it. Lions release Sam Laporta. Penei Sewell, tight end 1. All right, so that's the tight ends. So what do you think about the tight ends? Let us know in those comments. Don't be shy. Do we have the best tight end room in the entire league? Yay for yes, nay for no. Let's get it done. We are rating the position groups of the Detroit Lions. How about the wide receivers, Mike? What do you think about these Detroit Lions wide receivers?
Well, I think the crux here is Jameson Williams, right? What is JMO going to be? He started to come on at the end of last year. We're all hoping he's going to be a wide receiver too. Now with the departure of Josh Reynolds, that spot is open for him to take it and seize it. We know Amon-Ra St. Brown is the number 1 wide receiver. Sure, he might work a lot out of the slot. 64% of his work comes out of the slot. And that's not a typical wide receiver 1, but there's no doubt by anyone in this league or anyone out there that doesn't think Amon-Ra St. Brown's a number 1 wide receiver. He made All-Pro last year. All-Pro, folks, not just Pro Bowl. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an All-Pro. How can you not give an 11 to an All-Pro? If that's not the bar, being All-Pro, I don't know what is. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a solid 11. Jameson Williams, right now, based on last year and his career so far, he's a 7. With the way he played down the stretch and his incredible upside, he could make it as high as an 8.5. I'm going to go with an 8. I'm going to give our wide receiver 2, Jameson Williams, an 8. When you look at Khalif Raymond, he's one of the best punt returners in the league, right? He's the 3rd wide receiver on this team. Khalif Raymond just signed to a new deal last year. So, again, a solid 8 across the board for those 2 wide receivers with a dominant 11 at the number 1.
I love how you did that. And you got 2 8s right there. Let's start right, because we're going to agree on Amon-Ra St. Brown. But let's go into this Khalif Raymond and Jameson Williams. And right here, you got an 8 with both of those guys, or a 7 for Jameson and an 8 for Khalif Raymond. And the funny thing is Khalif Raymond you're happy to get him at an 8. You're like, wow, this guy's worked his ass off and worked up to an 8. Where Jameson Williams, his 7 or 8 comes with a little bit of disappointment.
Yeah.
You really wanted him to be an 11 because this is the 3rd year and you drafted him at 12th overall. So there's a little bit of disappointment that goes along with that. Last year, Jameson Williams, 28 total touches on over 40 targets. 28 total touches. And out of those 28 total touches, he scored 5 touchdowns. So what is there with Jameson Williams is obviously there. The talent is obviously there. And Dan Campbell said when he came in, he looked like a man on a mission. Like, this is unrecognizable from last year to this year. Dan Campbell does not give out empty compliments. As a matter of fact, you couldn't pull a Jameson Williams compliment out of Dan Campbell, even if you said, hey, save this kid's future. Couldn't give him a compliment last year because it wasn't there. He's immature. There were some things that were definitely lacking, and we've pointed them out. These guys in wide receiver, if Jameson Williams lives up, and I'm talking, when I say lives up to 12th overall, if he can get 1,200 yards and 10 plus touchdowns, if that's the type of live up that he can do, and that's living up to 12th overall, right? That's about 12th overall.
For sure. I mean, I'd take 750 and 45 catches would be great, and 7 touchdowns. I would be really happy.
My point to that is, like, if he gets 700 yards and, you know, what you had said, you're still going to look at that and say that's not worth 12th overall. What I'm saying is come out and be the bona fide number 1 receiver like they drafted you for. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a unicorn. That's a bonus, right? You got the best slot wide receiver in maybe history on your team, along with this guy that you drafted 12th overall to be the guy that can stretch the field. Now, if he becomes that, this is the best offense in the league, and how are you going to stop it? If Jameson Williams is him, what are you going to do about it? That's the beauty about it. So this whole room could go from where I believe Jameson is, which is about a 6.5 right now from what he's shown, to he could be an 11. So right. I'm putting the range on there like that. Now, as far as the depth goes, Kalif Raymond, Donovan Peoples-Jones, they're fine. That's fine. That's a 3rd, 4th, even 5th target if you're going to count Sam Laporta. Those guys are fine in that spot right there. So I'll give the depth a 7.5. But Jameson Williams is definitely the wild card in this spot right here that could take the Lions from a top 3 offense to a all-time offense.
And let's talk about the extended depth now on this wide receiver room. You got Antoine Green, Donovan Peoples-Jones, right? You got Tom Kennedy. I like those guys. I like Antoine Green, even though he's a 7th-round draft pick. He's got the size. He's got the length. He's shown some flashes, especially in the preseason. This guy's got potential, right? Donovan Peoples-Jones is a bona fide number 2 on most teams in the NFL. I like that extended depth better than a lot of teams in the NFL, like the Dallas Cowboys, even the Philadelphia Eagles, even the San Francisco 49ers, who are their 4th and 5th and 6th wide receivers. I don't think they measure up to the ones we got. So definitely for an overall grade on this wide receiver room, I'm going to give them a 9. You got Amon-Ra at 11, Jameson Williams as an 8, Kalif Raymond as a 7. And then this depth of these other 3 guys, I think, are better than most teams in the NFL. That's going to push their entire room grade up to a 9 for me on Main Event Mike.
We want to know what you think. Who cares what we think? What do you think about the Lions wide receiver room? Are we being too homeristic? Are we projecting Jameson to be too good? Let us know in the comments. Yay for yes, why, nay for no. And then this is Main Event Mike right here. We are doing the rating of the position groups, and ours go to 11. So we're going to rate the division. So we are all the way up to the offensive line. Mike, this is probably our favorite. This is our favorite, the offensive line. These guys are protecting our field general out there. Rate this offensive line, Mike.
Well, let's start at right tackle, the all-pro, the best player under 25 in the National Football League, the crown jewel of the Brad Holmes draft process.
We're going to buy the kneecap off.
Penei Sewell at right tackle, all-pro. Got to get him in an 11. Head back over to the left tackle spot. Taylor Decker, a little long in the tooth, but still a very productive left tackle. A solid 9, maybe even a 9.5. Now let's move into the guards. You got Graham Glasgow. He's a solid 8 anywhere in this league, but when you add in his position versatility, being able to play every position on the line, he's a 9 all day long. At the other guard position, they brought in Kevin Zeitler, one of the best right guards in the league. He's also a solid 9. And Frank Ragnow, one of the best centers, the highest paid center in the league for sure. He was an 11 a couple years ago. He's since dropped a little to a 10. And then with that toe injury, which is inoperable, could limit his future, I got to deduct a 0.5 point for Frank the Tank, your favorite player. I know, Russ. I'm going to have to give Frank the Tank a 9.5. So you're looking at an 11, a 9, and 2 9s and a 9.5. Not bad.
Oh, man. And you know what? I'm not going to hurt you too much on that one right there. That's pretty good when you can deduct a 0.5 point and Frank the Tank still gets a 9.5 on your scale. And it's like, Penei Sewell he's going to be legendary. He might be the the greatest tackle of all time when it's all said and done with the stuff that he's doing. And I have been watching tape on him. I've been watching really smart people break down the Lions offensive line, and the schematic things and the things that they're asking this offensive line to do are very difficult, and they're handling it. Like the complex schemes, pulling, doing all these different things. So 11 for Sewell, a 10 for Decker. I mean, these two are the two best tackles together in the National Football League. It's like they're as good as any two that's out there. You got the versatility of Graham Glasgow, which is awesome, who came in and overachieved last year. You brought him in as a depth piece, and he won the spot over Helababudi Vaitai last year. And, Frank Ragnow, that's my favorite guy, man. I love Frank the Tank, and it doesn't matter that he has an inoperable toe. He still played at the best center in the league level last year with a half a toe. And then Zeitler, how can you even upgrade over Jonah Jackson? He goes and gets a bag in LA, and you bring in an upgrade. How is that even possible? So I give this line a 10 out of 11 as a whole. And I mean, I can grade all these guys right around 10 or 11, every single player that's on the starting lineup.
Where the offensive line loses points with me, Russ, is in depth. Okay. Behind the all-world starting five that we've got up there, the highest paid offensive line in the NFL, I think we're a little thin at depth. I know you're a lot more optimistic than I am. Well, I really need to see a jump from Colby Sorsdahl to really be a viable option in this offense. You've got Awasika as a backup guard. You've got Dan Skipper as a backup tackle. To me, these guys are all right around that 6-7 range, and that brings the overall grade of the whole room down, in my opinion. But just on this depth beyond the starters, I can only give a 7 to this offensive line.
Oh, okay. Wow. I actually thought that was better. That was a better score than I actually thought you were going to give for the depth. So when I look at the depth, I do look at it a little bit different than you, because you have to put bodies in those spots. So in order for you to upgrade from those spots, you would have to unbelieve in the guys that you have to put in the guys that you would now quote unquote believe in. They happen to believe in their younger crop. And I agree with you when you alluded to Colby Sorsdahl has to step forward. Like, in order for me to say the things that I'm going to say right now, Colby Sorsdahl has to develop, because that's what I'm touting, is the fact that we can develop players. And then you got Mahogany, who I actually believe will be the second best guard going in when the training camp is all said and done. I think that was such a steal that they got in the 6th round. And then you got the wild card in Manu, the man with the name Man in his name, 350-pound athletic freak that looks like he's probably going to develop faster than we thought. We thought he was going to be a Broderick Martin all year long thing. It looks like this guy can just get some coaching and be like, okay, well, I'm an athletic freak. I apply your coaching to my athletic freakness, and look out. So I'm going to grade the overall depth of the room at an 8. I thought you were going to do it at a 7 or at a 6, and you'd put it at a 7. So you're giving the depth a little bit more credit than I thought you would. I'm going to give the overall depth at an 8, because I believe in the development of the team. But what do you think out there? What do you think of the Lions' depth? Now, I'm not talking about our studs, the ones that we can count on. I'm talking, if one of those guys goes down, how do you feel about the next man up? Let us know in the comments. We did the offense today. We went through and rated the entire offense, where they were, where we think the depth is, and where we think that they're going to be. What do you think of the quarterbacks, running backs, everything on the offense on a scale of 1 to 11? Do you think that they've done enough on offense? Give me a yay for yes and a nay for no. And Mike and I will see you in the next video.